Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today is a garden tour video. I did one of these last year and it's awesome to see the difference between last year and this year, and so I wanted to go ahead and do this before we went any further into this year because we do have some plans for this fall. Come on, let's go check out the homestead. That is my my little bird feeder right there. And it actually has been feeding all my honeybees this year, which I've been super happy about, watching them go over there and get lots of sugar water. Over here I have some basil. It's doing very well. I've got the parsley. It's doing very well. So this is what I call the herb garden. It's not completely all herbs. Got two different types of basil, some stinging nettle in that pot over there. That right here that's going crazy, this is horseradish, and this is like 2 or 3 years old, 2 years old, and I got that from the grocery store, and I have yet to harvest any of it, but it's doing really well this year, so I'm kind of excited to make some fire cider out of that. Here is the tomato planter. It's doing okay. There's not a whole lot of tomatoes on it this year. We've got jalapeno peppers and cayenne peppers. These are echinacea, or the cone flowers, so I just really let these go. Last year I planted them. They came back beautifully this year, and it wasn't until I think yesterday that I started actually reading up about how to take care of them. And apparently this whole time I should have been deadheading them, cutting them back, because that's why they're all going over and sideways like that. These guys are looking great, but you can see that they actually belong to here. So if you have cone flowers, deadhead them. They will come back in abundance. That is a bee. I thought it was a Japanese beetle. So yes, the Japanese beetles have invaded, and Meg over at Creating Essence told me today, or sorry, she didn't tell me, she posted on her video about the traps, which I've heard about from several other people, but then I've heard mixed reviews, but she is all for them, so I am going to go get some today. I can't stand Japanese beetles, and they destroy everything every year. This tomato plant is, I perched it up on this chair. I was going to dig it up. It came up naturally on its own, and I have no idea what type of tomatoes these are. They almost look like Roma tomatoes, but it is doing better than any of the tomatoes that I planted. So I'm just leaving it alone and letting it go. I am a little bit worried about blight because it's on the ground, so I might try to trellis it or try to just stick a pole in there and get it to go upright more so that it doesn't get blight. But look, it's packed full of tomatoes. And I've heard that if you just let those plants go, like they were from last year from seed or whatever like that, they'll actually end up doing better than the ones you plant. So we'll see. Thus far, that's proving to be true. This is St. John's wort. And again, I probably should have cut this back because it got straight up and then it just totally fell over. So over here is a whole bunch of mint, and then let's see, we got lemon balm and catnip, and then over there you got I have some zinnia. There is stinging nettle. There's rosemary, and over here got rosemary, lavender, and sage. And the sage, I am really going to stop planting. Oh, and oregano is right behind the zinnia. That's oregano's over there, and thyme's over there. So like the sage is just blowing my mind this year. I don't even know what I'm going to do with all that. I love burning sage in the house, so I am thinking that I'm going to get lots of those leaves, you know, stick them together into bundles and dehydrate them to burn them. Got sweet potatoes. I have 3 different types of regular potatoes. Back there, a lot of them are dying off, so it's about time to harvest them. We harvested 1 plant, and they were okay. They were red potatoes. They were smaller, but red potatoes are supposed to be smaller, so cross our fingers. We're going to try to harvest them soon and hope for a good harvest. Over here, I got some hibiscus. You see right here that they are just tore up, and that is from these little worms that I think they're cabbage loopers. And then you see I got the Japanese beetles. The creek is down there. It's beautiful, it's wonderful, but I'm working on reading up about forest farming, because that's, I think, been a lot of my problem, is that there's just not a ton of sunlight in my yard. And I'm going to show you our shade garden that I think I'm going to just destroy because I put so much effort into that, and year after year I've gotten like nothing out of it. But because we live so close to the bugs in the water and or the forest and the water, I think that we get so many more bugs and just not enough sunlight. Next year I'm hoping to do a lot more things that work with the forest instead of working against it. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. Over there are sweet potatoes. Over here is blueberries, 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 blueberries. If my whole yard was filled with blueberries, I would be one happy camper. This is one thing new that we did this year, and I liked it to begin with, and then I'm not crazy about it now, because when we first did it, we mulched over this entire hill and we added these steps, and I'm going to take you down, and that way we have access to so much more of the yard. I planted cover crops to kind of, because it's nothing but clay in here, and they're beautiful cover crops. See, take a look at this. This is buckwheat, I think. See, over here is a blueberry plant, and I've had to battle these spider mites with the blueberries like the entire time. They're up in there. A lot of blueberries, actually. That next year I will probably be planting perennials. I'm thinking rosemary and lavender will also help keep the bugs away from the garden. So if I can kind of use this garden as a protective barrier to that garden, that'd make me very happy. Planted these stone steps, these stone pavers, all the way down here to the creek. And the purpose of this was for the ducks, which since this time we've changed our mind on it, but the creek is completely overgrown. In the springtime, it was awesome because the girls could put on their rain boots and go down there and find all sorts of stuff in the creek. Now, we also live downstream, and so if I got any closer, which I'm not going to get any closer right now, there's always trash in our creek. Once a year, I try to get in there and just clean out all the trash that comes down. If you actually got in there, right over there is a mattress. A queen-size mattress actually came downstream 2 years ago, and it just parked itself in that spot in the creek. And I don't know if you've ever tried to move a soaking wet, completely saturated queen-size mattress, but it ain't easy, and we don't have any kind of tractor equipment or anything like that, so half of it is still in there buried underneath. And every year we find it, because every year we think that it's a rock because it's all mildewed over. It's just nothing but foam now, and it looks like a rock, and we step on it, we just go straight to the bottom. But anyway, yeah, all that to say is that a lot of things wash down this creek. Over here we have wisteria, and wisteria is such an invasive weed. I love it and I hate it. So this year I've tried to take a few of the wisteria plants and kind of cut them into little mini trees, like there and there and there. So I'm trying to tame the beast, but if you look over here, and especially you see these vines up in the trees, that is all wisteria, my friends, and it is just wild. This is our orchard, and every year, since we live so close to the forest, we get deer. These trees, I think, are 3 years old now. So for the past 2 years that we've had them, we have almost lost one every single year to deer. Deer will come out here and they'll eat the new shoots, and it just kills me because it'll put us behind as far as growth goes for an entire year. So my husband had the great idea of buying this net. It cost about $100, and he put these huge poles up. And as soon as he did it, I fell in love with it, because to me, I don't know how well you can even see it on here. It looks like a bird sanctuary. Like, it's just, I want to put some birds in here when the trees get a little bit bigger, because it's completely enclosed. This is the rest of our orchard. We have 4 apples. 1 plum is doing wonderful. It's that one in the corner over there. Unfortunately, the Japanese beetles love that one more than anything. We were able to harvest 2 plums from that this year. These guys are pear trees. We've been trying to grow grapes here for a while. They do really well, and then the beetles attack, and then they get some sort of fungus. They were doing fabulous. They still kind of are. We do have some grapes on this one. These are my hydrangeas. This year, this finally did something, which I was so happy about. And this is my prize hydrangea. I got this from a stick like 5 years ago, and it's just done fabulous every single year. It's dying off now, but it's got these beautiful, beautiful blue blooms. This one finally bloomed something, but it was like literally 1 bloom on it. I really and truly might just gut that one next year if it doesn't do more, because it's been there for a few years and it's disappointing me every year. This is what will happen if you don't net your trees. This is a cherry tree, and the deer just destroyed it. wild blackberries. These things did pretty well this year. My other blackberries and raspberries completely died in the garden, so I'm thinking that I might try to propagate these. I'm about to lose 5 of these girls today. I'm selling them off because we just have too many eggs. See that little bowl of food? I'm attempting to grow my own mealworms for my chickens. So here's my laying hens. We added this door for convenience this year. Here's our does. Guess what? You're Snow White and you're Winter. Sir Patrick got those beautiful red eyes. Beautiful chickens. Getting rid of 5 of these girls today. So the rabbits we are not keeping for meat this year. We're mostly just keeping them for their fertilizer, which is why they're in the cages, so that we can harvest their droppings for fertilizer. Rabbit fertilizer is the best. It does fantastic. We had a ton of rabbits last year. They all got out. They dug out their cage. We had them free range and they were loving life. They dug out. They all got out. We never ended up butchering any of them. Right now I'm not really into, I don't like to butcher things. I really just don't. It's just messy and gory and I'd prefer not to. But we do have the male and female if need be, because when this whole virus thing came out, a lot of people were talking about food shortages and kinks in the supply chain. There was the whole talk about a meat shortage and stuff like that, and that's when we kind of realized, like, okay, we need to make sure that even though we don't want to do it right now, that we can do it. So we have the male and female, and those that I bought those this year, and they went up in price. So last year when we bought rabbits, they were $10 a rabbit. Now those were the cheapest I could find. They were $20 a rabbit. A lot of other people were trying to charge $50 a rabbit. And same thing with chicks and chickens. I mean, for a while there, I don't know if it's still that way, but you couldn't get chicks. I think Cackle Hatchery is still sold out of chicks for like the entire year. Over here is my daughters. They wanted a garden. I offered to give them a whole box that they could do whatever with, but they wanted their very own. So my oldest came out here with my middle child, and together they dug this out. They put down the mulch, and I gave them some carrot seeds, and the carrot seeds are growing. This is a pecan tree. It gets these spots every year, and I think that's some kind of disease. This is their other garden, which they're so excited about. They have a cucumber somewhere on that cucumber plant. I don't know where, but they're super excited about it. And they have sage, and they have thyme, and then they have a little tomato plant. This is the sun garden because it gets the most amount of sun. I have some sunflowers that are growing. They're not doing great. I have some tomatoes that are growing. They're doing pretty great. Pretty happy about this. My husband made this very simple, inexpensive trellis. If you guys are interested in a very simple, inexpensive trellis, he just put up a few different pieces of wood, and then we wrapped twine or string. Got this a huge roll of this for like $21 off of Amazon, and he just wrapped it, like wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. And so we have all of this trellis that's super inexpensive and super easy to work with and to use. So we'll have to replace the string every year, but if you're looking for an easy, efficient, inexpensive way to trellis things, that's it. The only thing I would say is that with the tomatoes, I need to go back and actually probably tie the individual stalks to this because they don't do very well. Oh, squash bug. They don't do very well wrapping themselves around the trellis like the cucumbers do. Over here we have, I planted these late in the season, so we'll see if they go, but there's watermelon right there. We got a bunch of eggplant growing in this bed. Of course, I got marigolds at the center of everything to try to deter bugs. All this romaine needs to be harvested. I have about half of a bed full of carrots over there. And then over here, lots and lots and lots of cucumbers. This plant is doing fabulous. You can see my cucumber. I've got quite a few of them on this plant. I'm harvesting these every single day. These are pickling cucumbers. I just went through and I turned every plant over looking for squash bugs and looking for squash bug eggs. And then I wrapped tinfoil around the base of all of these to try to keep out the vine borers. And I covered them in a mixture of 1/8 milk and to water. That's supposed to help with powdery mildew because I found some of that on them as well. So cross my fingers that this does well because I love squash, and I have a whole bunch of pumpkins growing in the greenhouse that I'll show you in a moment. The green beans, I'm going to plant so many of these guys. These are so easy. They're a continual harvest. I've been super impressed with these beans. Over here is the fig tree that I got from my grandmother's house, and I'm hoping that this year we'll get some figs from it. The shade garden that I think I am just ready to tear up. It has never done anything. In the springtime, it's completely filled with sun. It gets about this time and you can see it's just completely shaded. So I thought I could grow like lettuces and stuff, and just nothing has grown here except weeds. I bought this soil and I spent so much money on this soil. It's got vermiculite in it, it's got compost in it. I've been adding mulch to it every year. But I'm just ready to harvest the soil, reuse the soil, and just gut this, and we might extend this run. We'll see. These are our new ladies and gentlemen, and pardon the mess, they are very messy. So here's the coop itself. They have this little run, and over there I have to clean out their water. You gotta clean out their water every day. It's ducks, guys. The ducks are just so messy. So I know that looks gross and disgusting, but literally they do that in about 5 minutes after you give them fresh water. Like, I don't know how they get it that gross, but they do. They are definitely boys. Just found that out yesterday, so we're gonna have some male ducks. Strawberry patch, other strawberry patch. This is new. This is my greenhouse. We got this off of Amazon, $300 or $400, I forgot what. At first when it came in the mail, I was like, I don't know how long this is gonna last. This is not glass, it's like a type of plastic. But it has held up well. It is wonderful. I love it. I've got lots of seedlings growing in here. Getting excited for the fall planting season. That about wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Let me know what you're planting, what your plans are for the fall. If you have any videos on YouTube of yours, summer, spring garden, I'd love to see those as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!